If you notice that guilt rises up the moment you try to put yourself first, stay here for a moment. You know the feeling. You think about saying no. And before you even speak, something in your chest tightens. A voice says you cannot do that. That would be selfish. They need you. So you say yes. Again, even though you are tired. Even though something in you is screaming. If this is you, stay here for a moment. Here is what to understand about this pattern. It is not a sign that you are weak. It is not evidence that you do not have boundaries. It is not a failure of self-respect or courage. It is an adaptation. Something your nervous system learned to do. Because at some point it needed to. The energetic memory comes first. Somewhere in your childhood, you learned that your needs were not as important as keeping someone else comfortable. Maybe you were responsible for a parent's emotional state. Maybe you were punished for saying no. Maybe you learned that your value depended on how much you gave. Your nervous system learned something specific from this. It learned that putting yourself first is dangerous. That saying no will lead to punishment, withdrawal of love, or being told that you are selfish, bad, or wrong. So you learned to feel guilty. Not because you actually did something wrong. Because guilt became the signal that you were about to do something unsafe. Here is what that means practically. The guilt is not a moral compass. It is a conditioned response. When you try to put yourself first, your nervous system does not evaluate whether the situation actually requires you to sacrifice. It activates the old learning. The learning that says, if you choose yourself, something bad will happen. So you feel guilty. Your chest tightens. Your stomach clenches. You hear the voice that says you are selfish. And you comply. Not because you want to. Because your body learned. That compliance is the only way to stay safe. This is the resonance angle. What you are carrying inside resonates with what is outside that matches it. If you learn that your needs are less important, you will be drawn to people who confirm that belief. Not because you want to be taken advantage of. Because the familiar feels like home. And people who respect your no. Who do not make you feel guilty for having needs. Who do not require you to sacrifice yourself. They may feel wrong. It's not wrong because they are wrong. Wrong because your nervous system does not recognize them. They do not fit the template. They do not activate the familiar pattern of guilt and obligation. The person who triggers your guilt is not more deserving than you. They are familiar. And the weight you carry is not proof that you owe them. It is the cost of a pattern that was never updated. Here is what this pattern is costing you. You are exhausted because you are constantly giving from a place of depletion. You are resentful because somewhere inside, you know you are giving away something you cannot afford to lose. You have lost touch with what you actually want because you have spent so long doing what you should that your own desires feel foreign. And underneath the guilt, there is a younger part of you that learned that your needs were a burden. That part is still waiting for someone to say, you are not selfish for wanting to be free. You are allowed to put yourself first. In the session that follows, we are going to work with this pattern directly. Not by learning to say no. Not by rehearsing boundary scripts. By going into the body, where the guilt lives, and updating what the nervous system believes about choosing yourself. The session will guide you through the felt sense of the obligation. The beliefs beneath the guilt. The younger part of you that learned that your needs are less important than keeping others comfortable. and then it will resource that part with something it did not have back then. Your presence as an adult, your capacity to be with what arises, and a deeper truth about who you actually are. Beneath the guilt, let's now go to the integration session. If you notice that guilt rises up the moment you try to put yourself first, stay here for a moment. Take a slow breath and arrive here. You do not need to analyze anything. Let the words land where they land. Your body will take what it needs. This material is emotionally activating by design. It works by meeting what you are carrying directly. To get the full benefit and stay present rather than overwhelmed, tap gently on a single point as you listen. If you know AFT, you can use all 9 points. But using only a single point, such as karate chop or collarbone, keeps your attention inside the feeling, rather than tracking where to tap next, and is just as effective. And begin. I now recall how this pattern shows up in my life. I assume that if someone is upset, I must have done something wrong. I believe my needs are less important than keeping others comfortable. I say yes automatically and only later realize I felt forced. I stay in situations that hurt me because leaving feels like betrayal. I measure my worth by how much I give, even when I am depleted. If this resonates, we will now gently connect with the emotional experience behind this pattern. Even though I feel trapped by guilt and obligation, and I struggle to choose myself without feeling selfish or wrong, this is just a passing pattern arising in consciousness, not who I really am. I feel guilty when I put myself first, like I am abandoning them. My chest tightens when someone seems disappointed in me. I think if they are upset, it must be my fault. My stomach clenches when I imagine saying no. I feel selfish, and that word burns in my chest. I stay even when my body feels heavy and tired. I tell myself I have no right to leave. I feel trapped, like the door is locked from the inside. My shoulders hunch forward under a weight that is not mine. I carry their sadness like a bag of stones. I owe them even though they hurt me. My throat closes when I think about walking away. I feel like a bad person for wanting to be free. Notice how this feels in your body. I am so tired of being responsible for everyone. Breathe into the heaviness in your chest. I feel rage underneath the guilt, but I push it down. I think if I were a good person, I would not feel angry. Let the body soften a little. I feel small, like a child who cannot say no. I watch myself giving in again, and I feel ashamed. My mind says just keep them happy, it is easier. But my body feels like it is disappearing. Notice how this feels in your body. I am so afraid that if I choose me, I will be completely alone. Breathe into that fear. I feel guilty for even noticing how trapped I am. I think maybe I deserve to feel this way. Let the body soften a little. I see myself giving, and no one is filling me back up. I feel hollow, but I keep smiling. I notice my mind watching this whole pattern, and even that feels like failure. I can stay here with this feeling without falling apart. The guilt rises and falls, and I am still breathing. I do not have to fix or escape what is here right now. Underlying beliefs. Perhaps I believe that love must be earned through self-sacrifice. Maybe I think my worth depends on how much I endure for others. It is possible I confuse being needed with being loved. I might believe that saying no means I am dangerous or bad. Possibly I carry an old belief that my feelings do not matter. It could be that I learned as a child that keeping an adult stable kept me safe. I may be trying to control others' emotions so I do not feel abandoned. Perhaps the ego plays at being indispensable to avoid feeling worthless. It is conceivable that guilt is a familiar signal of safety, not a moral compass. I could be reliving a past survival strategy where compliance meant protection, That old identity of the caretaker, the peacekeeper, the one who absorbs everything, once kept me safe in an unsafe environment. But it is no longer who I am. And I am outgrowing it now. Adult self, gently turn toward your inner child. I am sorry to my inner child, who learned that your safety depended on keeping someone else happy. I am sorry you felt that your needs were a burden and that your no was dangerous. I see how hard you worked to carry what was never yours to carry, just to feel loved enough. You are safe to feel all of this now, because I am here with you. And emotions are waves passing through, not floods that drown you. Inner child speaks. Oh, you are not mad at me for wanting to leave. Maybe I can breathe a little, just a little, and nothing bad will happen. Adult speaks. I give you permission to feel your own needs without guilt. I release you from the duty that was never yours. I honor the strength it took to survive by carrying so much. I love you exactly as you are, not for what you give. You are safe to let go of that weight because I am here now. And I will protect you. These feelings are passing weather, not the truth of who you are. Message from higher self. Now that we've felt and honored the experience, allow understanding and light to arise naturally. The belief that you owe access to those who hurt you was never true. It was an echo from a time when you had no other choice. Your true nature is not a servant to guilt, but a steady, open awareness that watches all feelings come and go, without being captured by them. You have never been selfish for choosing yourself. That thought is just a thought, a cloud passing through the vast sky of your being, and you remain untouched beneath it. Freedom is not found in fixing anyone else. It is recognizing that their feelings belong to them, and your peace belongs to you. Filling the void. I can stand on my own ground and feel supported by my own spine. I hold my own feelings without drowning, and I let theirs be theirs. I take one small step forward, and my body knows I am allowed to move. I calibrate my yes and no from inside my chest, not from their reaction. I feel the structure of my own life forming under my feet, solid and mine. The ask, inner child. I give myself permission to feel the tightness in my throat when I want to say no, and let it stay there without obeying it. I allow my shoulders to drop just a little, and feel what it is like to not brace for their disappointment. Adult self. I choose to stay present with the wave of guilt when it comes, and I do not act on it right away. I pause before answering, feel my feet on the floor, and let the yes or no come from there, not from the panic. Higher self. I allow my body to learn at its own pace what it feels like to choose me, without forcing or rushing the lesson. I release control over how this unfolds, trusting that awareness holds everything while sensations rise and fall. Bridge into your new reality. Before, their disappointment felt like danger in my chest, and now I notice the same sensation, but I can breathe underneath it. I used to confuse guilt with a sign I did something wrong, whereas now I feel the guilt arise and recognize it as an old signal, not a current truth. Where I once felt trapped by duty, as if a chain pulled me back, I now feel the chain loosen while I stay exactly where I am. Reclaim your power. I release the belief that I am responsible for keeping others stable, and I choose to learn what my own stability feels like instead. I am the awareness watching guilt appear and dissolve, and that witnessing self has never been trapped, never been broken, and never needed permission to be free. Seeing it done. I imagine myself feeling calm when someone is disappointed. I see myself now standing in my kitchen, and someone asks for something I do not want to give. I feel a small warmth in my chest, not panic. My voice is quiet and steady. I say I cannot do that, and I feel my feet on the floor. The other person frowns, and I notice the old guilt flicker in my stomach. but it passes like a shadow. I stay. I breathe. I do not scramble to fix them. I feel a deep, quiet relief. Like putting down a bag I forgot I was carrying. My inner child watches from inside and feels surprised, then safe. I am finally free to breathe without checking if everyone else is okay first. I can say no and still feel the sun on my skin. Still feel my own heartbeat. Still belong to myself. I rest in the quiet knowing that choosing me is not selfish. It is simply being alive. This is ordinary. This is safe. I am allowed to feel this way without making it dramatic or special. Now experience a new future. I am in the moment where the demand appears. Someone wants something from me. My phone buzzes. Or a face looks at me expectantly. I pause. I feel my feet pressing into the floor. My breath moves slowly in and out through my nose. The old tightness starts in my chest. But this time I do not grab it. I let it be a small knot, not a rope pulling me. My hand rests on my stomach. I feel the air move. I notice a thought they will be upset. It is just a sentence floating by. My shoulders stay down. My jaw is soft. I look at the request. I do not owe them. I feel the truth of that in my ribs, like a cool drink. I open my mouth. The words come slowly. No, I cannot do that. My voice sounds like me. There is a silence. Their face changes. I watch the old guilt try to rise. But my body does not obey it. My feet are still on the floor. My breathing is still calm. I feel a small smile inside, not on my face. My inner child looks out and sees me not collapsing. They lean back against my chest, curious. Nothing is on fire. I am not bad. I am not alone. I walk to the window. I feel my legs moving. I feel the air on my skin. The guilt is a small ripple now, not a wave. I feel satisfaction, quiet and warm. Like coming inside after being cold. I did not fix them. I did not abandon myself. I feel the space around me, open and mine. This is normal now. This is safe. I breathe out slowly and feel complete. Allow this felt sense to continue integrating naturally in the body and in life. Take a deep breath, feel the shift, and smile. Let this settle gently. There's nothing you need to do right now. You can return to this whenever you feel called. Be gentle with yourself. If something came up for you while listening, if you noticed a memory, a specific relationship, or a moment when the guilt felt unbearable, let me know in the comments what landed. That helps me know what to record next for you.